Live. Namaste, everyone. A very warm good evening to all. So today on 1st June 2025, we are organizing a special lecture on Sri Shankaracharya, Sri Adi Shankaracharya, uh, who has contributed philosophically, intellectually to the history of India as well as to the South India. So the title on which our today's resource person is going to talk is Shankaracharya, a philosophical giant in the history of India. And we have organized this lecture to celebrate Adi Shankaracharya Jayanti. Though whole year is the celebration of his contribution to the nation, but the day has to be yearly remembered to make the new generation, young generation, get to know about his personality and, of course, his literary works. So we have taken this initiative. Today's our resource person is Dr. Gauri Mahulikar, ma'am, academic director, Chinmay International Foundation, Adi Shankara Nilayam, Ernakulam, Kerala. And we are very glad to have such an eminent scholar with us. We warmly welcome you to the platform, ma'am, and thank you so much for accepting our invitation in a very given short time. And we appreciate your enthusiasm to contribute to our series. And I also take this opportunity to welcome our honorary president, Sri Nandan Shastri ji, and our founder president, Ms. Manali Momaya, our core committee members, and also advisory members. A very important element of our lecture series are our audience, for whom we conduct the lecture. I also take this opportunity to welcome all the audience who are going to join us through this session. Please be active throughout the session. I take this opportunity to introduce our today's resource person, uh, Dr. Gauri Mahulikar, ma'am. As already I told, Dr. Gauri Mahulikar, ma'am, is academic director at Chinmay International Foundation. Uh, she has uh, the doctorate in literature from KSU Bangalore, awarded by Honorary Governor of Karnataka, Sri Tawar Chand Gehlot. She did her PhD from Bombay University, Mumbai University, on Vedic elements in Puranic mantras and rituals, and which also was later on published as a book in 2000. And she also has done her PG diploma in comparative mythology, and her bachelor's and master's in Sanskrit from Mumbai University. Um, she has been awarded with many awards and honors. Some of them to mention are Bahu Daji Prize, which she received in 1973, Asha Dattar Gold Medal in 1975, and Manekji Limji Gold Medal 1977. Her major interest and expertise are Indian Knowledge System (IKS), which includes sub-elements like Vedic studies, Vedanta, Nirukta, and also Sahitya. She is also expert in multiple languages such as Sanskrit, Hindi, English, Gujarati, Kannada, as well as Marathi. And she has very huge experience in academics. Some to mention are she has worked as vice chancellor and dean faculty at Chinmay Vidyapeeth, And also she has done a lot of collaboration and networking as resource person with multiple institutions, and promoted her thoughts and her interest through conducting conferences, webinars, and of course courses, which can be accessed through internet now also. And she also organized a successful open learning for all lecture series of Sanskrit literature. And she also has worked in the Department of Sanskrit in Mumbai University from 1992 till 2015, and has guided around 18 students of PhD over there, and has effectively, enthusiastically demonstrated her skills, teaching skills, and administrative skills in the department as head of the department. And she also has contributed, she also has received for her contributions multiple more puraskaras or awards, which are Savitribai Phule Puraskara and Indira Behere Puraskara, Adi Shankara Puraskara, which was given to her by Sri Shankara Matha Matunga, uh, Kavikula Guru Sanskrita Sadhana Puraskara, an International Ramakrishna Award, which is considered as one of the prestigious awards, and Lokamanya Tilak Sanskrit Award from Tilak Maharashtra Vidyapith, which is also one of the prestigious institutions. She has published 8 books and more than 150 articles, and has worked and done courses on for students, manuscriptology, bhakti literature, mysticism in Sanskrit department in the University of Mumbai. And she was also invited for as a member of delegation for 16th World Sanskrit Conference, which was held at Bangkok in 2015, and was also invited as a overseas expert for lectures, conferences, and workshops by um, Kalania University, Colombo, Sri Lanka, and was invited as guest speaker at University of California, and Peace University, New York, Stanford University, Columbia University, Howard University, and many more to name in USA. This was just a brief introduction about her. If the audience want to know more about her, you can just search in the Google. You will get the detailed 18 to 20 pages biography of ma'am in academia, and also many lectures of hers are also available in the YouTube. uh, this was just a brief mirror to her persona, and I'm blessed to take this opportunity to introduce such a great personality. And we are very glad to have Maulikar ma'am on the platform of the history enthusiasts. uh, Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Nidhi. And first of all, let me express my sense of gratitude for inviting me on this platform of History Enthusiast Association. And it is very nice. I'm so happy that you are celebrating Adi Shankara Jayanti. In fact, Adi Shankara Jayanti should be celebrated as the oneness day, I should say, Advaita day, all over the world. So we will see one day it will happen. Okay. So with a brief salutation to the Jagat Guru Adi Shankaracharya, I would like to start my lecture. So this is a verse which we recite in Adi Shankara Nilayam in Chinmay International Foundation every day in the birth room of Melpalur Mana, where Jagat Guru Adi Shankaracharya was born, because it belongs to his mother, Aryamba. It's Aryamba's house. So I'll start with that prayer. Vedanamagamanaam Paramajalanidhim Sarvavidnyanapurnam वेदान्तार्थप्रकाशक्षमममलरुचिम् भानुवद्ध्वान्तनाशम् शिष्टैः शिष्यैः समेतम् निरवधि सुखदज्ञानदातारमीशम् वन्दे श्रीमद्गुरुणा परमगुरुवरम् शङ्करम् पूज्यपादम्. So this verse, in just a couplet in 4 lines, summarizes the entire biography of Adi Shankaracharya in a way. But we are not going to decipher the verse here word by word. We'll start with the topic Shankaracharya, a philosophical giant in the history of India. I should have named it in the history of world. It's not only India, because when we talk of Vedanta, when we talk of Advaita Vedanta, especially the monotheism or absolute monotheism, this particular sampradaya is being studied and researched all over the world, in all over the world, in different universities, in different manners. So Shankaracharya just doesn't belong only to Kerala, South India. He doesn't even belong only to India. He is Jagat Guru. So with that, what is philosophy first? What is the history of philosophy? Which are the countries which are well known in the philosophical developments in the civilizational history of mankind? And what exactly is the philosophy of Shankaracharya? What is his greatness? Why he is so adored, and studied and researched all over? So these are the 4, 5 areas, points on which I would like to deliberate with this help. Okay. So philosophy, as we say, uh, any country, the civilization of any nation, any country can be gauged, can be judged by the development it has made in the realm of philosophy. And if we see that ancient Greece and ancient India, these are the topmost nations which come to the forefront, which have made and uh, which have, made a very substantial impact on the later generations and on the later philosophers as well. In fact, if there is no Shankara, there is no Vedanta. If there is no Shankara, there are no opponents, there are no followers. Shankara is at the central figure. He is at the pivot. He is at the center point. People either follow him or they oppose him. But Shankara is there, standing tall, you know. And though, like Ashtavarshe Chaturvedi, Dvadashe Sarvashastravid, Shodashe Kritavan Bhashyam, Dvatrimshe Munirabhyagan, only the age of 32 years which he got. First, it was only 16. And if you read the so many Digvijayas on his biography, then we come to know that 16 years bonus was given to him by none other but Veda Vyasa himself. And so at the age of 32, he took Mahasamadhi, he just disappeared. So when he appeared and when he disappeared, the time, the space, the place where he appeared, he took birth, and the place where he disappeared, these are controversial. Because, no contemporary of Adi Shankaracharya has written about him. All the Digvijaya Granthas belong to the later era. And therefore, we hardly have any substantial proof or evidences which prove in an unambiguous manner that this is the place and this is the time when Shankara was born. Now, for science, we see that space and time are eternal, but for Vedanta in philosophy, they are not eternal. They are also jada. And only eternal principle is Brahman. And therefore, I must say that Shankara is Kalatita. and Deshatita. So he has transcended the time and the space or the place, and therefore I'm not going to discuss in the controversial topic of his birth time, his birthplace, his samadhi time, and his samadhi place. Okay. So love for philosophy is philosophy. Love for knowledge is philosophy. That is how we have it, philo and Sophia, these two words combining together. In Sanskrit, we call it tattva jnana. Tat, that. Tva, thatness. Jnana, knowledge of thatness. What does it mean? Normally, all over the world, all philosophies in the world, they revolve around three basic principles, three basic tenets. That is the man, the maker, and the matter. The man, the jiva, the matter, the world around him, and the maker, one who makes, one who creates the man and the matter. So in Sanskrit, if we say it is jiva, jagat, and jagadishvara, right? So, what are the basic principles or the fundamental tenets of Shankara's Vedanta? Was he the first philosopher to propound it? No, certainly not, because the tradition of philosophy starts from the Vedic literature. When I said in the at the very outset that India and Greece are the two countries which come in the forefront when we talk about history of philosophy. So this is not, 8th century AD as some people believe Shankara's birth, or 5th century BC according to some. It goes back much beyond that to the Vedic period. So right from the Vedas and then the Vedanta, which is the Upanishads, and then the Brahma Sutras in the Sutra literature, which Badarayana Vyasa, he churned the Upanishads, so to say, and took out the butter, the Navanita out of that in the form of 555, according to some 556 sutras, aphorisms. And in that, he has mentioned many of the predecessors. So Shankaracharya is not the first to comment on any philosophy of India. In fact, the tradition is eternal. It is perennial, what you can say, the flow of philosophical thoughts which evolved gradually. Shankaracharya systematized the whole process by writing the Shariraka Bhashya on Brahma Sutras. So when he refers to Brahma Sutras, in fact, he is an Acharya. And who is Acharya, One who comments on the Prasthanatraya is called an Acharya. So the Shruti Prasthana is the Upanishads, the Mukhya Upanishad, Ishakena Katha Prashna Mundamandukya Tittiri, etc. Then the Nyaya Prasthana, that is the Brahma Sutras or the Vedanta Sutras, and the Smriti Prasthana, that is the Bhagavad Gita. On these three texts, there are many people who wrote the commentaries. We know of the Pancha Acharya tradition we have in the history of philosophy of India, especially in the Vedanta tradition. Shankaracharya being the oldest, whichever date he belongs to, but still his Bhashya is the oldest. Then comes Ramanujacharya and Nimbarkacharya. Basically, Nimbarkacharya is a younger contemporary of Sri Ramanujacharya. And then the Madhvacharya, the Dvaita Sampradaya, and then comes Vallabhacharya of the 14th century. So these are the Panchacharya Parampara. Now Shankaracharya names his Bhashya, unlike all others, they write, like Brahma Sutra Bhashya by Ramanujacharya. Brahma Sutra, it is named as Sri Bhashya, but then it is Brahma Sutra Bhashya by Sri Ramanuja. Then Brahma Sutra Bhashya by Sri Madhvacharya, which is also known as Anubhashya. Even Vallabhacharya's Bhashya is known as Anubhashya. So Anu Vyakhyana or Anubhashya. Like that, Shankaracharya has named his Bhashya as Shariraka Bhashya. What do we understand by the word Shariraka? We go to Sharira. Sharira is a tadhita from Sharira. What is Sharira? Shiryate tat shariram. That which decays, diminishes, gets destroyed is sharira, the body. Sharire bhavaha shariraha. One who resides in the sharira, that is the jivatma, the self or the spirit, the soul, we can say, the embodied soul. The soul which resides in the body is embodied soul, the jivat. And sharire bhavaha shariraha tam uddishya kritam sutram brahma sutram or shariraka sutram or tam uddishya kritam bhashyam is shariraka bhashyam. So Jiva, Jagat and Jagadishwara, this is the trinity on which all the philosophies all over the world, they have, they have deliberations on this. Now, when we talk about this, what is that principle which has given rise or which has created, produced the jiva as well as the material world around us? It is the bhokta and the bhogya, the bhoktru bhogya bhava, or the shesha sheshi bhava, or the anga angi bhava. There are so many relations there thought about by different philosophers like Ramanuja and others. Now, when we talk about this creator, the maker, who is he? It is he or she or it is it. And then Shankara says, Nastri, Napuma, Nakumara Utava Kumari. He is quoting from the Atharva Veda. This highest principle is neither a man nor a woman. It is neither a small Kumara, a child, an adolescent boy or a girl. It is it. And therefore, it is denoted by the word Brahman. It's a neuter gendered word. Atma, when we say, it becomes a masculine word, but Brahman is a neuter gendered word. So, what is Brahman? Brumha is to grow. So, that which grows, which is limitless in growth, which his growth or its growth we cannot capture, we cannot factor, we cannot measure, immeasurable, you know. Yo vai bhuma tat sukham nalpe sukhamasti, say Chandogya. What, you think big, think Chinmaya. So that is our motto, okay? So think big. So whatever is big. Now when we think big, what is that principle which is omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient? That is Brahman. Now for the omnipresence, we can think of the sky, the akasha, the ether, which surrounds us, which envelops us wherever we go. We may not find a piece of earth to stand upon when we are in the deep seas, right? But there is always the canopy of Akasha above us. And therefore, Brahman is likened with Akasha. So, Akasha, Brahman is like Akasha. But does it mean that Akasha is Brahman? No. Because Akasha is also Jada. Brahman is Chetana, Sat, Chit, Ananda. So Sat is the Astitva, Chit is the consciousness, and Ananda, by getting that Brahman, by becoming Brahman, one rejoices, one relishes in that Brahmi Bhavana Prakriya, Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati. And therefore Sat, Chit, Ananda. Now this becomes the essence of Brahman. This is called the Swarupa Lakshana or Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam Brahma. As Taittiriya gives the Swarupa Lakshana, Satyam, that is truth, but Satyam is Sataha Bhavaha, existence pure and simple. Then Jnanam, knowledge, pure knowledge, and Ananta, Anantyam, infiniteness. So that is what is Brahman is. So this becomes the Swarupa Lakshana. The Lakshanas are twofold. One is Swarupa Lakshana, the other is Tatastha Lakshana. The Tatastha Lakshana is given again in the Taittiriya, Yato va imani bhutani jayante, yena jatani jivanti, yasmin prayanti, abhisambishanti, tadvijidnyasasva, tad brahma iti. That from which all the beings are created, that by which all the beings get nourished, they get sustained, and that in which all the beings at the end they merge, they become one with it. That you know to be Brahman, and that is, that is the rasovai saha. Hmm? So that is the Swarupa Lakshana, that is the Tatastha Lakshana from where all the beings. So Janma, Sthiti, and Laya. These are the three, what you can say, the cosmic activities, and one who carries forward all these three cosmic activities is Brahman. So this is the Tatastha Lakshana, and that is given in the second sutra of the Brahma Sutra of the Chatussutri, Janmadi Asya Yataha. The first sutra begins with Athato Brahma Jidnyasa. So Brahma Jidnyasa gives you the Chodana. Chodana, some inspiration to know what this Brahman is. Okay. And then there is, in fact, there are, in the Brahma Sutra, 555 sutras, we have 4 chapters there. And each chapter has a different name. For example, there is the first chapter is known as Samanvayadhyaya. I will talk about Samanvaya a little later because that is the greatest contribution of Shankara. Reconciliation of uh, conflicting Shrutis, of apparently contradictory Shrutis, and making one harmonious meaning thereof. So Samanvayadhyaya, there are some 145 plus sutras in that. Then Avirodhadhyaya, how the principle of Advaita, how our principle of Ekatva is not in opposition to other principles, how it is all embracing and all encompassing. There is no Virodha, and that he does in the second chapter. In the second chapter, the second pada, he devotes only for Tarka on the logical basis, on merely on the rational thinking level, on Anvikshiki, he refutes all other Dvaita Vadas. So that is the Avirodha Adhyaya. It has some 150 plus sutras. Then comes the Sadhana Adhyaya. What are the means of knowing that Brahman? What are the means of becoming that Brahman? And therefore it is, as Madhvacharya names it, it is Gunopasamhara Adhyaya. Guna Upasamhara, the different upasanas and all. So they come in that. That is quite lengthy chapter, 180 plus sutras. And the last is Phaladhyaya, very short sutra, a very short adhyaya, which gives you the phala. What is the reward and what is the parinama of knowing Brahman? What is the Brahmi Bhavana Prakriya and what do you get thereby? Because unless there is a phala, unless there is a prayojana manuddishya na mandopi pravartate. And therefore, there has to be some prayojana, there has to be some phala. Okay. Now, these are the 4 chapters. Now, when Badarayana wrote the 555 Sutras, the chapterization of that was done by the Bhashyakaras. First Bhashyakara, the available Bhashyakara, I should say, because there are many others which Badarayana himself refers to. In fact, there are some 10, 12 predecessors of even Badarayana, the Sutrakara, not to talk about Bhashyakara, right? So the Sutrakara mentions people like Badari, the scholars like Jaimini, Ashmarathya, Audulomi, Karshnajini, Kashakritsna, Upavarsha. So there are so many of them. So that means these scholars, they might have contributed something or the other in the form of bhashya, in the form of vritti, vartika, tika, something, vivarana, some sort of notes should have been there when Shankaracharya wrote the commentary. So we can't say that Shankaracharya was the first. We can just say Shankaracharya is the first available commentator on Brahma Sutras because his commentary is fully available to us and others we don't know now, right? Because as in Sri Bhashya, Ramanuja refers to Baudhayana Kritam Vistirnam Brahmasutra Vrittim Purvacharyaha Sanchikshipuhu Tanmatanusarena Sutraksharani Vyakhyasyante. So Baudhayana, uh, Shankaracharya doesn't refer to Baudhayana by name, but he must have had some vivarana, some vritti before him, and that must have been very elaborate. Baudhayana Kritam Vistirnam Brahma Sutra Vritti. So that must be there, but unfortunately now it is lost to us. Okay. So there are so many of these predecessors who have contributed in some way or the other, and still we talk about Shankaracharya for two reasons. Number one, because the commentaries or the notes of these scholars are not available to us anymore. And secondly, Shankaracharya has adopted a research methodology and he has done a systematic analysis. In fact, it is not just analysis. There are two ways to look at a problem. It is analytic and synthetic. So analysis also and synthesis also. And therefore I said samanvaya. That is a very important topic of Shankaracharya, which I will be talking about. So, Ashmaratya is there, Karshnajini and Kashakritsna are there, and they are referred to sometimes as the opponent's view, sometimes as the Siddhanta view by Shankaracharya in his Shariraka Bhashya. Mostly Jaimini, he is referring to as the Purva Mimamsaka and therefore as an opponent. But in the Tritiya Adhyaya, in the Sadhana Pada, Sadhana Adhyaya, he refers to that Charana Adhikarana, and there that Charana is not just the Charana, the conduct. That is what Jaimini says, and Jaimini says it is the Karma Anushaya or the residual of karma which decides your next birth and all. So that becomes the Siddhanta for Shankaracharya. So in whatever way he has tried to amalgamate and synthesize the different views. Sometimes the same Jaimini is portrayed as an opponent and sometimes he comes as a Siddhanta Paksha. So if the opinion is admissible and acceptable, it becomes a Siddhanta Paksha. If it is not, it becomes a Purva Paksha. So this is what the methodology of Shankaracharya. Basically, as in the Prakarana Granthas, he deliberates and ko jivaha kaha paramatma tadatmyam katham tayo. Ko jivaha, or who is the jiva? Kaha paramatma, who is the highest entity? And katham tadatmyam tayo. How you can say that they are but one? The Jiva and the Brahma, Jiva Brahmaikya, and therefore for this Jiva Brahmaikya, we have the four Mahavakyas coming into the four Vedas, like Lakshana Vakya, Prajnanam Brahma, given in the Rigveda, Aitareya Brahmana, Aitareya Upanishad. Then the Anubhava Vakya comes as Aham Brahmasmi in the Yajurveda. Tattvamasi comes in the Samaveda, which is the Upadesha Vakya. It is the what you can say initiation to the Shishyas, and then Anusandhana Vakya comes from the Atharva Veda in the Ayamatma Brahma, the Mundakopanishad. So these are the four Mahavakyas, but all these Mahavakyas, they deal with the Brahmaikya. In fact, whatever Vakya gives you Akhandartha Bodhakam Jiva Brahmaikya Param Vakyam Tattvam. or tvameva tat ityadi vishayakam tadeva mahavakyam iti uchyate. Jiva brahmaikya param and akhandartha bodhakam. That sort of vakya is called mahavakya. So the mahavakya's explanation, there is vakya vritti, laghu vakya vritti, and there are Upanishad bhashyas in whichever Upanishads this occurs. So that is also given by Shankaracharya. Now, the first four sutras, in fact, in all the Bhashyakaras have commented on all the 555 sutras. But even if you study only the four sutras, Chatusutri, that really gives you a deep insight into the particular philosophical what agenda or philosophical thought process of that particular acharya. So, in fact, I would say rather going a step further, not even Chatusutri, sometimes like for example, Sri Bhashya, Ramanujacharya Sri Bhashya, even if you read the first sutra, Thato Brahma Jidnyasa, the entire Vishishtadvaita philosophy comes to the forefront. So only one Sutra Bhashya, because if you refer to the Bhandarkar Oriental Research Institute's edition by R.D. Karmarkar, he has divided the Bhashya. It's a long, lengthy prose Bhashya. He has divided into 84 paragraphs for quicker and easier understanding of that, right? So even if you don't read all the 555 sutras, even the Chatusutri can give you the principal tenets of all the Bhashyakaras. For example, the first sutra gives you the Jidnyasa, Athato Brahma Jidnyasa, Ataha Brahma Jidnyasa. Now, Atha has three, four different meanings. Pakshantara Bodhaka, Anantariya, Mangalya Suchaka, and all that. Ataha gives you the Hetu, and then Brahma Jidnyasa, Brahmanaha Jidnyasa. Now, look at the commentary on Brahma Jidnyasa by Shankaracharya. It is very interesting to read because he doesn't go into the details of what sort of compound it is. Grammatically, he is a great Vaiyakarani. He is a great Naiyayika, a logician, and yet he doesn't go deeper into the grammar. He makes it, because he is what you can say, Anugram Apurva Shankaram Naumi. So he is a very Karuna Varuna Laya Palaya Mam. He is very compassionate for his readers, and therefore he makes it very simple. And Brahma Jidnyasa, what is Brahma? He doesn't refer. Brahma Jidnyasa is Shashti Tatpurusha compound grammatically. But whether it is Karmani Shashti or Sambandha Shashti, Sheshe Shashti, he doesn't comment at all on all this. You can refer to Sri Bhashya for that elaborate commentary of Ramanujacharya, expounding on the grammatical nuances of that. Shankara just says, यथा राजा असौ गच्छति इति उक्ते सपरिवारस्य राज्ञः गमनम् उच्यते तद्वत्. When you say, here goes the king. Now, when the king goes, does he travel or does he go all alone? Never. King is always followed by his retinue, right? And therefore, when you say the king goes, it is automatically understood that the king is going along with his Raja Parivar, along with the pilot cars and this and that, and so many sevaks, having chauris, fanning him or holding umbrella over him. And I mean, it is not necessary to say that the Raja is accompanied by the whole Parivar. Similarly, when you say Jidnyasa of Brahma, it automatically conveys the meaning. What is Brahma? What is the Lakshana of Brahma? What are the means to know Brahma? And what is the follow of knowing Brahman? So, Raja Asau Gacchati. This is another very special feature of Shankaracharya as a great philosopher and yet very accessible to common man because he uses or he makes use of different practical illustrations which are called nyayas, laukika nyayas. So through the laukika nyayas, he makes you understand the alaukika tattva through very common usages, through proverbial sentences and maxims. He makes the unintelligible Brahman intelligible or accessible to even a common reader. One example I may like to quote here. Of course, I appeal to the viewers here on, especially on YouTube, that on YouTube some of my Indica lectures are available. Indica Oneness series, every year they hold this. So there are 3, 4, 5 lectures in these last 5 years. So you may refer to Anandamayadhikarana or Ikshatyadhikarana or Laukika Nyayas to know the Alaukika Brahman, or the rituals and Shankara's philosophy, some 4, 5 lectures, and even the analysis of Brahma Sutras in the Adhyaya category, so the readers, the viewers can listen to the YouTube lecture. So I'm not going into that again to avoid the Pishta Peshana. Okay. So that is how he refers to. But yet, though I won't repeat all the things, I would like to repeat one example at least, and that is of a gradual process of understanding and knowing, and before you interpret anything. And what is that gradual process that he speaks of in the Anandamaya Adhikarana and many more Adhikaranas as Arundhati Darshana Nyaya. This is one of my favorite Nyayas as well. And this goes back to the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Atma Avare Drashtavyaha, Shrotavyaha, Mantavyaha, Nididhyasitavyascha. Atma is to be seen, to be heard, to be pondered over, to be reflected upon, and to be meditated upon. Now, these are the stages one after the other. Seeing Brahman is what? Atma vare drashtav. You can't see Brahman. You can't see Atma because he is formless. He is nirvikalpa, nirguna, nirakara. Then how can you see? So seeing here is knowing. It again comes in the Ikshatyadhikarana, the fifth Adhikarana. After the Chatusutri, the fifth Adhikarana from 5 to 11 sutras is Ikshatyadhikarana. So Iksha is to see, but Avagati Pariyantam Jnanam. What is the meaning of Ikshana? That is the knowledge till you get satisfied completely. So Avagati Pariyantam Jnanam Ikshanam. Okay. And therefore Ikshatyadhikarana. So this is Ikshana and Drashtavyaha. Then Shrotavyaha. You should listen to about Brahman from the Shruti Vakyas, from the Guru. You must have a spiritual preceptor, the Guru, the Acharya, who enunciates you into this Brahma Vidya or Rahasya Vidya. And therefore, this is Shrotavyaha from Guru Mukhat. Then, after Guru teaches you something, Guru expounds on that, you have to reflect on it. And that is Mantavyaha, reflection. After Manana, and in the process of Manana, Evameva Tat. So whatever Guru has told me, when you reflect more and more, you ponder over it more and more, mull over it more and more, you get convinced, yes, it is like this. So evameva idam iti manasaha anubhavaha, that is mananam. And then nididhyasanam, that is the meditation upon the Brahman. Okay, so these are the 4 stages of Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana from Darshana, etc. So Brahma Jidnyasa is the first sutra, and Brahma is to be seen from this all these methods. And then it comes to the Brahma Lakshana, that is Janmadhyasya Yataha, that gives you the Brahma Lakshana. The third, Shastra Yonitva, this third sutra gives you the Veda Pramanya. How Shastra is the yoni, the source of knowing one. It is the sutra is interpreted in two ways by almost all the acharyas. We are pondering upon Shankaracharya now. So let me take only Shankaracharya here. So Shastram yonihi asya brahmanaha iti Shastra yonitva. That is one interpretation. And Shastrasya yonihi Brahma. It is from Brahman that Shastras have emerged. It is said, that Omkarishchatha Shabdascha, Omkara and Atha, these are the two words. Brahmanaha Vinisritau Pura Mukhat. They came out of Brahman for the first time, and therefore Tasman Mangalikau. So Brahman is the producer, is the generator of the Shastra. Vedadi Shastra, they are produced by Brahman, one interpretation, and these Shastras, Vedadi Shastras, are the source to know Brahman. So these are the two interpretations. So this is the Veda Pramanya, which gives you Shastra Yonitvadikarana. And the fourth is Sutranam Samanvayaha Tattu Samanvayat. Tattu Samanvayat is the fourth sutra, which is the Samanvayadikarana, and this is what I want to ponder little length, because the entire Shankara Bhashya is based on the philosophy of reconciliation, on Samanvaya. Samanvaya is finding the contradictory Shrutis and then explaining those shrutis in such a way in that creates a harmony, and unambiguous understanding for the teacher and the learner. How? We will see that. For example, there are in the Upanishads the Shruti Vachanas, which talk about the Srushti. They are called Srushti Shritayaha. For example, Sa Ekaki, Sa Ekaki na ramate. The Brahman was all alone. Sa Ekaki na ramate. Tat Tejaha Asrijata. And that created Teja. And Tejasaha Apaha Adhyaha Prithvi Prithivyaha Oshadayaha Oshadibhyaha Manushyaha. So like that, this is a creation process. Sometimes as in Taittiriya, we say that etasmat atmanaha akashas sambhutaha akashat vayuhu vayoho tejaha tejasaha apaha adbhyaha prithvi prithivyaha oshadhayaha oshadhibhyaha manushyaha. And this is how the process starts. From akasha, the subtlest of the gross elements, to the Manushya, from Prithvi. So this creation process, so whenever such processes are given, such vachanas, such Upanishadic statements are called Srishti Shruti. That means Brahman becomes the creator and we all become the created beings. Then how can we be one? The creator and the created or the creation are Dvaita. They are two. One is the creator, the other is the thing which is created, and therefore there has to be a duality. There has to be a dualism. And when reconciliation comes of such Shrutis, what Shankaracharya does? He quotes some other Shrutis which talk about Nirgunam Brahma, Nirdosham hi Samam Brahma. So he talks about the Nirvikalpa, Nirakara, Nitya Shuddha, Buddha, Mukta Swarupa, Brahman, which talks about, infinite Brahman, which doesn't have any form, which doesn't have any attributes, Nirguna Brahma. So there are two types of Brahman. And he talks about it very clearly in the Bhashyas. Dvividham hi Brahma Uchyate. Nirvikalpakam Savikalpakancha. So Savikalpaka Brahma is the Brahma which is the creator, which is Ishvara. And the Nirvikalpaka Brahma is that highest entity which is Nirguna, Nirakara, without any modification, immutable, right? And therefore, the Shrutis, he reconciles in such a manner whenever there is the hint or in an indication to the duality as creator and created, or Jiva and Brahma, such duality is mentioned, it is always on the lower level. It is always on the Hiranyagarbha or the Ishvara level, and the Nirguna Shrutis, they only talk about the highest entity, which is beyond all this, which transcends all this. So, this is a very intelligent way of reconciling all the Shrutis. And again, here the Vyakarana plays an important role. It is said, Vipratishedhe Param Karyam. There is a sutra by Panini. When there is a conflict between two sutras, he is referring to his sutras, Ashtadhyayi Sutra. Whenever you find there is some conflict, or some difference of opinion between two sutras, always go for the latter, because that is more authoritative than the former or the previous. Same rule applies here. The Upanishads talk about the Saguna Brahma, the Upanishads talk about the Nirguna Brahma. Saguna Brahma comes at the previous level. You have to transcend that to reach the Nirguna Brahma. Again, here, that Sopana Marga or the Arundhati Darshana Nyaya, which I was referring to, comes to our head. What is this Nyaya? Arundhati is Vasishtha Patni. Okay. And Arundhati is a small twinkling star. It's a very tiny star shining besides Vasishtha in the Saptarshi constellation. Okay. In the Saptarshi uh, group of stars, it looks like a kite, a rectangle and then a tail. So the rectangle is not the Arundhati. The tail is not Arundhati. Now, for that, I learned, I make a story out of it. Suppose somebody wants to see Arundhati. Now, you are a person who knows where are the stars located in the sky. You take that uh, fellow, who wants to see Arundhati to an open space from where you can see the stars and all, and you point at a very sthula tara, very broad and very shining, very illustriously shining star, and you point out to that. You look at north and this, and then the person, oh, that is Arundhati. No, no, little south to that. Just concentrate now. Can you see? Can you see a group of stars in a particular shape of a kite? Then the person, ignorant person, says, yes, yes, looking like this, and you can see. And then you say, oh, that is Arundhati. No, no, no. Can you see a rectangle and a tail to that? Yes, I can see both. Concentrate on the tail. Oh, that tail is Arundhati. In the tail, there are three stars. Concentrate on the middle of that. Oh, that is Arundhati. No, that is Vasishtha. And besides that, there is a tiny star, and that is Arundhati. Now, when you want to point out a very subtle thing, very sukshma thing, you can't point it out all of a sudden to a person. You have to show him something which is gross. From gross to subtle, that is the process of gaining knowledge. We always have the peripheral knowledge, superficial knowledge, the format, the structure of a thing, and then go deeper and deeper and deeper. And then only we come to the pivot, the center of the thing which you really intend to talk about. All our knowledge process starts from the gross to subtle, and for that, Shankara gives the name Arundhati Darshana Nyaya. And this is the same as Atmavare Drashtavyaha, Shrotavyaha, Mantavyaha, Nididhyasitavyaha. You can't concentrate on an abstract thing all of a sudden. You have to concentrate on some pratima, some shalagrama, some image, some photo frame, and then you close your eyes and then you can just concentrate on the light which you see even after closing your eyes. So from saguna to nirguna, from sakara to nirakara, from gross to subtle, from external to internal, this is the process of our learning. The learning happens always in this manner. Just think of your own learning and you can visualize and you can justify and confirm what I say is not false, that is true. And therefore, this Arundhati Darshana Nyaya plays a very, very important part, very, very important role in this. So when you talk about को जीवः कः परमात्मा कथं तादात्म्यं तयोः, then we have to talk about tadatmya. So the jiva and brahma, these are the two entities. The jagat is created by brahman, but that is again by maya. Another special feature of Shankaracharya, before writing the bhashyas on the sutras, I have taken Brahma Sutra as the main thing, because stotras and prakarana granthas are like the what for Madhyamadhikari and Avaradhikari, and there could be differences of opinion during that, but in the Nyaya Prasthana, Brahma Sutra is the highest of the Bhashyakara's contribution, and which is, you have to break your heads to understand that, and therefore I'm concentrating only on that. Before starting his bhashya, he writes the Utsutra bhashya, or something like a prologue, something like an introduction to the bhashya. Athata Brahma Jidnyasa, he doesn't start writing the bhashya all of a sudden at all. Okay. He first starts with Yushmadasmat Pratyayayoho, Vishaya Vishainoho, etc. That is called Adhyasa Bhashya. That serves as a prologue, a prolegamenon, an introduction for understanding the entire purport of Brahma Sutra. Similar paragraph, introductory note he writes before Ikshatyadhikarana and before Anandamayadhikarana also. So this what you can say a foreword or a preface before commenting on the bhashya helps us a lot, because that makes our manobhumika, our prishthabhumi, our background ready, and then only we can delve into the uh, bhashya of the sutra. Okay, and therefore Utsutra bhashya, or writing something over and above the sutra bhashya, is a typical contribution, a very, very commendable contribution of Jagat Guru Adi Shankaracharya. None of the Acharyas has written such what introductory notes before they wrote the bhashyas. So this is also very, very important from for him as a great philosopher, because a great philosopher is not just one who makes the things easy things difficult. He should make the difficult things easy for us. Normally, the criterion of intellectualism is making a simple thing difficult. But here is one philosophical giant who made the unintelligible things intelligible and accessible for us. Like, when he says the Vibhutva, the Brahman is Vibhu. He is all pervading. He is omnipresent. But still we can worship him in Ritpundarika as Angushta Matra Purusha. We can worship him, that highest reality in the form of a Vigraha, in the form of a Yantra or anything like that. Yatha Shalagrame Hari. And he just casually remarks, as Hari, Vishnu, who he has pervaded, Vishnu Kasmat, Praveshanat, he has pervaded all the three worlds. Remember the Bali and Vamana Katha. He has pervaded the entire universe, but we worship him in Shalagrama. Can that Swarupa of Vishnu be captured in a small oval stone like Shalagrama? But we do that. That is just a pratika. So in such simple examples, he makes the most unintelligible thing very, very accessible unintelligible to us. And therefore, the Utsutra Bhashya, this is again a very, very special thing for Shankaracharya. And then the Pramana, the different Pramanas, he always believes in the Veda Pramana, because Vedas are the revelations. These are the this is the Apaurusheya Vangmaya, and therefore these are the revelations of and the Anubhava, the Anubhuti Janya Vakya of the predecessors, and nobody can defy or nobody can challenge them. As there are the Vakyas in Puran, Vakyas in Bible, there are the Vakyas in the Shrutis, in the Upanishads, which are unchallenging. Okay. And therefore, the first and foremost pramana is Shruti, but along with the Shruti, he gives importance to Tarka as well, logic as well. But it is Shruti Sammata Tarka, Shrutyanusari Tarka. Otherwise, it will become Tarka Bhasa. It will become Yukti Abhasa, just a semblance and not the real Tarka. So, Shrutyanusari Tarka. And then he has, like Anubhavadayascha Yatha Sambhavam Pramanam. Anubhava, your own Anubhuti, Yatha Sambhavam Pramanam. Of course, there is Upamana and Anupalabdhi also, which he accepts as the Pramana. And therefore, this is again another of his contribution, that he has first of all, other than the Shrutis, he has introduced Nyaya or Anvikshiki. He has introduced Tarka in his Bhashya, so much so that the entire second pada of the second Adhyaya, Virod Adhyaya, is called as Tarka Pada, only on the basis of Tarka, not quoting any Shruti statement at all. He refutes the Sankhya and the Yoga, the Dvaita Mata, basically the Dvaita Mata, Rachana Anupapatya Adhikarana and all. These are marvelous Adhikarana, or Vaishamya Nairgranya Adhikarana. These are also very, very, mind-boggling, and, they give satisfaction. Oh, how logical he must be. In fact, we say that Shankaracharya would have been a great advocate who can defend his own paksha so vehemently, and he can refute the Purva paksha so rigorously that the opponent can't stand before him. So he has that sort of acumen, and those type of deliberative and interpretative ideas with him. So this was one more contribution of him. And rituals, when I was referring to rituals, so rituals, he says, they are also like Sopana Marga. So if we remember, in knowing Shankara's philosophy, the Sopana Marga or Arundhati Darshana Nyaya, the whole philosophy becomes crystal clear to us. Okay, so the rituals work and help us in as far as reaching that status where we want to know that Brahman. Yajnena danena tapasa nashakena. It is only Brahmana vividishanti. They just know, desire to know Brahman, that arises by yajna, dana, tapah, karma, etc. And for that, again, he gives you an example, For example, a person is going to Kashi for learning something. Now, how will he go? Shakatena va gachet, rathena va gachet, padbhyam va gachet. Okay, he can ride a cart, he can ride mount a horse and go, or he can go on foot. So all these, the Shakata, the Ratha, or his own feet, they help him just to reach Kashi. After reaching Kashi, when he wants to learn something, does that Ratha, does that Shakata help him anymore? No, right? So reaching you, taking you to a certain stage, that is the work of the rituals. Beyond that, rituals don't help you. Beyond that, karma kanda doesn't help you. Karma has to culminate into jnana. Karma creates that vaitrishnya or vairagya, and then you are there only for knowing Brahman. And whatever karma you do is alipta karma. That is Padma Patra Mivambasa. That is the Karma Yoga of the Bhagavad Gita, right? So the rituals also take you only to that extent. Now, I think the time is almost up. I will just end with the moksha concept, because when we talk about Jiva, Jagat, then what is the ultimate goal for the Jiva is Chaturvida Purushartha, Parama Purushartha Prapti, and the Parama Purushartha is moksha, Dharma Artha, Kama, Moksha Prapti. Now, the concept of moksha, which he deals with in the Samanvayadikarana, in the Tattva Samanvayat Sutra, is very, very interesting and very, very, what you can say, informative, at the same time logical. What is moksha, he says? Is moksha something which is utpadya like ghatadivat? Like the potter creates a ghata, a jar, can moksha be created? You take some samagri from here, you take some samagri from there, and create moksha concept. It is not possible. Na utpadyam ghatadivat. Is it an after effect or a transformation of something? Something is there, raw material, and that gets transformed into moksha. Yatha dugdham dadibhavena parinamate. It is the parinamavada of the Sankhyas. As milk gets curdled and it becomes curd, is there something which becomes moksha? No, na parinamate. So Utpattivada is gone, Vaisheshika's Khandana, Parinamavada is refuted, Sankhya's Khandana. Then is it Apya? Is it moksha? It's a certain place, certain goal, certain destination where you want to reach, where you want to go. It is not a station like I'm traveling from Mumbai to Kochi. It is not a flight, or it is not a train or a bus or a road. It is not a destination which you can reach by something. Because what is moksha is Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati. Becoming Brahma, that is moksha. And in that, and therefore it is na apya also. And the fourth thing he gives is natu samskaryam. And here comes a very, very intelligent definition, twofold definition of samskara. Samskaro hi nama gunadhanena va syad doshapanayanena va. By doing samskara, what do? You add some gunas. When you are teaching your young kids something, you have to behave in this manner, then you give them some values which they have to imbibe and inculcate. At the same time, dosha apanayanenava. If your child is not in the habit of sharing the things, is belonging, then dosha apanayana, you try to remove that dosha, right? And for here, Shankaracharya gives very nice example, like how is gunadhanena vasya? You are cooking rice, okay, steamed rice, you are boiling rice. You put little cumin seeds, jeera. You put little, some few drops of ghee to that. Value addition, that is gunadhanena. Is moksha something? That there is something, you add something to that and moksha is created, moksha becomes ready for that. It is not samskariya by gunadhana, and it cannot be doshapanayana, because nirdosham hi samam brahma. Brahma is nirdosha. How can you remove any dosha? There are no doshas in that. And therefore this typical moksha concept also in these four manners which he gives is very, very intelligent and very, very accessible and intelligible, accessible to common reader. Now, what is the position of moksha? You say Brahma with Brahma iva bhavati. So suppose now at this moment I have got Brahma jnana. Do I die? Do I cast off my body and get merged into Brahman? No, you can stay in your body as long as your prarabdha is there. This body will belong to you, but you can remain, like a sthita prajna and not attached to the body. And for that, again, there is a Chandogya quotation: Yatha ahi nirvayani pratyasta shete bile. The snakes cast off their snakes have the habit of molting the skin, right? They cast off their skin. Now, a particular snake has cast off its skin. That cast off skin is lying there somewhere, in his pillar, in his hole, in his house. But the snake is not at all worried about that. He got a new body, right? And similarly, when you do become dispassionate by Trishna, Vairagya, towards your own body, that is your Jivan Muktavastha. So the moksha for that, Deha Patana Durdvameva Moksha. This is the concept followed by the other acharyas. For the Advaita Vedanta, it is Jivan Mukta Avastha. While living itself, you can become Mukta because you are not attached anymore. So that Vairagya, and it is not Smashana Vairagya, which is temporarily, it has to be a permanent Vairagya. And if that comes in, then Brahmavid Brahmaiva Bhavati. Then the knower becomes Brahman himself. So these are the few points which I wanted to talk about in this. And Bhumandale Vijayate Yati Sarvabhaumaha. That is what is told about Shankara. I would like to end with one more verse that is by Vidyaranya Swami. No, that is by Sureshwaracharya in Naishkarmya Siddhi. He pays a very glowing tribute to Shankaracharya. He says, Vedantartha Vibhasakaya. He is the one who illuminates and ignites, the Vedanta Artha. Vedantartha Vibhasakaya Yataye Shantaya Sannyasine. He's Shanta, he's a sannyasi. Nana Vadi Nagendra Sangha Pavaye. One of the, in the Ashtottara Shatanamavali, one of the Nama is Dvisaptati Mato Chetre Namaha. He has refuted 72 views, not all heretic, not all Nastika. Some are Kapalika, Shakta, Vaishnava, Shaiva, all, So Dvisaptati Mato Chetre. That is the reference here. Nana Vadi Nagendra Sangha Pavaye Yogindra Vandyaya cha Mohadhvanta Divakaraya. He is like the sun who removes the darkness in the form of delusion. Mohadhvanta. Dhvanta is darkness. Mohadhvanta Divakaraya. Bhagavat Padabhidham Bibrate. One who bears the title Bhagavat Pada. Bhagavat Pada Shankaracharya. Bhagavat Pada Govinda Yati. तस्मै भाष्य कृते नमोस्तु सततं पूर्णाय बोधात्मने. He is of the nature of Bodha, Shankaracharya, Shankaram, Shankaracharyam, Keshavam, Badarayanam, Sutra Bhashyakritau Vande, Bhagavantau Punah Punaha. He is himself Shankara. He is himself of the nature of Bodha, that is Purna, Jnana. So my salutations to such Yatindra, and therefore I just say that what is that? Yati Sarvabhaumaha Vijayate. I thank you all for your patient listening, and I thank especially Nidhi Katti and her association of historians, association, historian, enthusiast historians. So thank you very much, Nidhi, for this wonderful opportunity. With this, I would like to end because somewhere I have to cut short. It is already 1 hour past, so I have to stop here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. It was really a wonderful lecture indeed. So, we also have questions over. With your permission, can I take them?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, that's a question by Nandan Shastriji, who is honorary president of our organization. The question
Hmm.
is, what is the gist of aparoksha nubhuti, which is direct experience?
Huh. So Anubhuti, I mean the jnana is Trivida. It is Pratyaksha, Paroksha and Aparoksha. Okay. Pratyaksha jnana is the jnana which is gained by the sense organs, the cognitive organs. That is Pratyaksha jnana. Paroksha Jnana is that which is beyond the sense organs. It could be Manasa Pratyaksha, Yogi Pratyaksha, and Aparoksha is Swanubhuti. Anubhuti Janya Jnana is Aparoksha Jnana. And that's why I said, Anubhavadayaha Yatha Sambhavam Pramanyam. I quoted that, right? So that is Aparoksha, Aparoksha.
So
In fact,
there is,
there is a
yes,
text
ma'am.
called Aparoksha Anubhuti.
Just to add on question, ma'am, which came in my mind. Uh, uh, so all the time the aparoksha jnana will be through experience only.
Experiential knowledge.
Experiential.
Experiential knowledge.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. There are some more questions. Uh, Arvind Iyer has asked two questions. This is the first question. Commentaries have been ascribed to Adi Shankaracharya for parts of the Mahabharata besides the Bhagavad Gita too, like the Vishnu Sahasranama and
And Sujatiya.
yes, ma'am, that's the
Yes,
question.
yes, yes. So besides the Prasthanatraya, he has commented on Vishnu Sahasranama and Sanat Sujati. Yes, absolutely right.
He has asked one more question, so he had asked actually two questions. How frequent, if at all, are citations from the Mahabharata in his Prasthanatraya Bhashya? Can we
No,
say that?
no. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
continue.
the full question. Can we say that he used Laukika Nyayas more frequently than Purana Itihasa reference? That's the second question of Arvind Iyer.
That's a very intelligent question, I should say. In fact, this is my favorite proposition that from Shankaracharya you start and you go to Vallabhacharya, how you see the differences in the quotations, in the citations, right? When I'm referring only to Brahmasutra Bhashya, not the other things, only Brahmasutra Bhashya. In Brahmasutra Bhashya, Shankaracharya quotes more from the Upanishads. In the Upanishads also more from the Mukhya Upanishad. In the Mukhya Upanishad also more from Chandogya and Brihadaranyaka. Okay? So that is the Mukhya Upanishad, which are more dealing with the Advaita Bhashya, that he quotes more. When you come to Ramanuja Bhashya or you come to Madhva Bhashya, I see a difference of, a stark difference is there. When we read the Shri Bhashya of Shri Ramanuja Acharya, great, profound Acharya, great intellectual Acharya, but he quotes often from Vishnu Purana. Often from, I mean, if you remove the Vishnu Purana quotations from the Shri Bhashya, the volume would be less compact. Half of the quotations are from the Vishnu Purana. You remove that and it becomes a compact Bhashya. Shankaracharya never quotes from any Purana, not at all. Bhagavad Gita he has quoted only thrice in the entire Sutra Bhashya. On the Bhashya of 555 sutras, Bhagavad Gita or the Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita is a part of Mahabharata. So Smriti is quoted only 3 times. He is Shrutyaika Sharana, I should say. Ramanuja, I already told. Vishnu Purana, he quotes profusely. When you come to Madhvacharya, 12th century Udupi Acharya, he quotes from so many Puranas. Iti Kaurme, Iti Varahe, iti skande, and he quotes from some shrutis, iti paithinasi shrutihi. Which is the paithinasi shruti? It is not available now. Maybe it was available to Madhvacharya, but we haven't even heard of paithinasi. We don't have any source to know about it. So some unknown shrutis he quotes or all the Puranas. Okay. And when we come to Vallabhacharya, he quotes only from Bhagavata Purana. Brahma Vaivarta Purana and Bhagavata Purana, Harivamsha, the killer parva of Mahabharata. So this is the way, which has come from the Shrutis till the Puranas, till the killer parva of the Mahabharata. So this in a way has come like From Shrutis, they have come to Smritis. So when it is Brahma Sutra, what is Brahma Sutra basically? It is the gist of all the Upanishads. It is, as I said, it was the churning of the Upanishads, and the Navanita, the butter of that is presented in the form of Brahma Sutras, right? So what should be the main source of authentication? It should be Upanishad. But it is only Shankaracharya who relies only on the Shrutis, and all other Acharyas, they don't rely on the Shrutis. They quote Shrutis here and there, but the major illustrations come from the Puranas and the Mahabharata. That is the difference. I don't demean anybody, okay? I don't want to demean anybody. I'm just telling the facts as they are, okay?
Thank you, ma'am. There is a question by Manali Momaya, who is also founder, president of the History Enthusiast organization. Question is, how does Shankara reconcile his monastic Advaita philosophy with the multiplicity of deities worshipped in practice? That's the question,
For
ma'am.
that, I didn't dwell much upon the concept of Maya. I just briefly referred to in the Utsutra Bhashya, that is Adhyasa Bhashya, and I mentioned once the concept Maya, but I didn't elaborate on that. Ya Ma Sa Maya, or take an example how he reconciles the multiplicity of the word with the Advaita. He gives you an example of Shukti Rajata Drishtanta. If Shukti Rajata Drishtanta is not acceptable, I can quote the Rajju Sarpa Drishtanta, which is like more often quoted by other acharyas, later than other than Shankaracharya. So when you see in a corner, in a dark corner of a room, a rope lying either crooked or coiled, coiled rope, you mistake it for a snake, for a serpent. And by mere sighting that, you feel it is a snake and you get frightened because it's a snake. It may bite me. I may die. And then you get frightened. You become pale. You get sweat and perspiration all over your body. And if you are too weak, you can fall unconscious also. Okay. So these are the vikaras which you see out of that. But when somebody comes, or when somebody switches on the light in the room, in that dark room, and points out to that and says, oh, this is just a rope, this is not a snake. Rajuriyam na sarpaha. Then that Guru Vachana, that Aptavakya, removes all that multiplicity. Oh, it was a snake, and I got frightened all of a sudden, and then all that ajnana gets removed. Now, this particular thing can be, conveyed in a different manner. How different hypothesis can arise from that. If there is this crooked line of, a snake like this, you may mistake it for a Jaladhara, for Ambudhara. It's a crooked, the stream of water. Or it could be like a breach, somewhere the ground has split, and there is this crevice, or a gap between the two pieces of uh, the ground, and therefore it can become a crevice also. It can become a dried pushpamala as well, something lying there in a crooked manner. Even a dried pushpamala, a garland, that can also give you the sense of a snake, right? So this is the multiplicity. In fact, there is only a Rajju. You may mistake it for a Pushpamala, you may mistake it for Ambudhara, you may mistake it for Bhudalana. There are so many multiple options which are posed in front of you. But then one Satya, one Yathartha Jnana, and that this is Rajju, that removes all this multiplicity. It is neither a Pushpamala, nor Bhudalana, nor Ambudhara, not even Sarpa. This is just a Rajju. All that multiplicity goes away, it gets removed by one Satya Jnana. And therefore, Yathartha Jnana, that is more essential to remove that. But why these all these conjectures and these pictures come in front of me, they are because of Maya. So Maya is, uh, see, for example, is Maya real or unreal? That is a question. There is only a thing is either it exists or doesn't exist. Huh? But Maya is something beyond existence and non-existence. How I tell you? If there is a rajju, there is a rope, and you mistake it for a snake, all the after effects of seeing a snake are true. That is the paleness of your body, the perspiration, your fear, right? And therefore, you can't deny, oh, if the karya is real, all these after effects, the karya effects, if the effect is real, how can the cause be unreal? But it is unreal. Somebody lifts that and shows you. So, satchetna badhyeta, asatchenna pratiyeta. This is what Bhashyakara says. If it is sat, if it is real, it cannot be nullified. If there is a snake, nobody can nullify it and say, oh, it is not a snake, it is a rope. If it is a real thing, it can't be nullified and therefore it is not real. Okay. On the other hand, it is not unreal because I get the feeling and I get the after effect of that. So asatchenna pratiyeta. Therefore, it is not even said to be unreal, and therefore it is said to be sadasad anirvachaniya. It is anirvachaniya. It is inexplicable. It is neither sat nor asat. It is maya. It is like a veil. Like for example, you see yourself in the darpana, in the mirror. But if the mirror is dusty, can you see your reflection in that? You can't. The dust veils the mirror. Otherwise, you can clearly see yourself in the mirror. So the Jiva can see himself as Brahman, but there is that dusty veil which covers him. That is avidya or Maya. Maya is explained in two ways. Vividha vichitra vikshepakari, swaswarupa tirodhanakari. Maya does two ways, it functions in two manners. One thing is it veils your own nature, swaswarupa tirodhanakari, and therefore you don't realize that you are Brahman. There is a veil between you and Brahman. Okay. And another thing is Vividha Vichitra Vikshepakari. It creates the multiple projections before you. That is what the world is. This is what Maya is. Understand? So now this concept of Maya is this which forms our body, which is the upadhi, which is a limitation, limiting adjunct to us. I will quote a Hindi doha from Kabir. Very, very nice doha. Jal mein kumbha mein jal hai, bahar bhitar pani. Somebody is fetching water, has gone to river, and that lady has dipped her pitcher, her jar in the river. Now, what is the position? Jal mein kumbha mein jal hai. Okay. Bahar bhitar pani. There is water outside, there is water inside. As long as there is water outside also, inside also, you can differentiate that this is Kumbha Jala and that is Nadi Jala. Outside Jala is Nadi Jala, inside Jala is Kumbha Jala. Now the second line, Futa Kumbha. The Kumbha is broken. Jala hi samana. The Kumbha Jala becomes one with the Nadi Jala. Yah tatha kathau gayani. Yah tathya kehte hai gyani log. So this body of ours is like Kumbha. Ghat mein basa hai Ram. We say our body is Ghat, right? So this body is Ghat, and the Atma, the Jala, which is residing inside the body, and the Paramatma, which is outside the body, they are but one. But when do we realize it? Only after discarding the mamatva for the body. It can be the Jivan Mukta Avastha or it can be Moksha Avastha after the marananta mokshavastha, deha patanad urdhvam. When the body gets decayed and destroyed, the Atma becomes one with the Paramatma. And then you cannot take out, the Jala and say, oh, this is Kumbha Jala, this is Nadi Jala. Can you differentiate once the water becomes one with the outside water? Can you differentiate with the taking the handful? Oh, this was the Nadi Jala and this is the this was the Kumbha Jala. You can't differentiate. They become just one. Similar is the case with Jiva and Atma. Okay? And this is caused by Maya. I hope I have explained it at length.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. One last question is there, ma'am, which I actually wanted to know. You mentioned about shlokas mentioned by Adi Shankaracharya about creation, right? Just now in the lecture. So, can the creation or human evolution process, which were explained by Sri Adi Shankaracharya, uh, are they similar to the archaeological stages of evolution? Can there be a possibility of comparative research done?
About archaeology, I know nothing. I'm not an adhikari, eligible person to comment on that. But what this process I have told, it is not by Shankaracharya, it is from the Upanishad. It is from the Taittiriya Upanishad.
Okay, ma'am.
एतस्माद्वा आत्मनः आकाशसम्भूतः आकाशाद् वायुः. This comes from Taittiriya Upanishad. So Acharya has just commented on it. Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for clarifying that. So we have come to the end of the session, and a lot of viewers have put their gratitude messages. We
Thank
have
you.
professors, students, research scholars from different places, not only from Karnataka, but from other states of the nation too. And we are very happy that they joined us and actively participated. And thank you so much, ma'am, for accepting our invitation and giving your valuable, precious time to the History Enthusiast platform. And before ending the session, we just want to know your suggestions for our organization. How can we do more lectures and what can we do? Yeah, just use or speak.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರಗಳು. I can speak Kannada. I can
Yes,
speak
ma'am. No
Kannada as
problem.
introduced, right? So ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರಗಳು. So I think history has always remained aloof from philosophy. It should not remain aloof from philosophy. History is not something which deals only with the dates and the people and their biographies. It is much more and beyond that. So I think history enthusiasts should do more of such talks, where so many great scholars are there in the history of philosophy. History is there in every branch, every branch of learning. There is history. There is history of mathematics, there is history of aeronautics, there is history of archaeology, history of architecture, history of everything, right? So in that history, who are all the contributors, so you should, as an enthusiast, you should have more of such talks on different acharyas. I can talk about philosophy, and therefore I can tell you, as you have arranged a lecture on Adi Shankara, why not arrange a lecture on Ramanuja, on Madhva, on Vallabhacharya, on Nimbarkacharya, on Abhinavagupta Padacharya from Kashmir, So great acharyas we have had, and each one has his own sampradaya, his own philosophical thought, and there is much to learn about all of them. And such talks would enrich your clientele, your participation, your people who join, your platform, and yourself. This will help your organization to grow in a holistic manner, I should say.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And I totally agree with you. And I just want to mention here that me, as well as a co founder and the president of our organization, Manali, we both are actually working on research where we are trying to collaborate philosophy with history. So our thesis titles are majorly focusing on that. So thank you so much, ma'am, for suggesting this. We will surely keep it in our mind and work on that, and in future too we hope to collaborate with you. And thank you so much, ma'am, for giving this beautiful lecture. I also thank our honorary president, Shri Nandan Shastri ji, founder president Manali Momaya, and all the co-committee members, advisory members, and of course the audience who actively listen to the lecture. Thank you so much.
Thank
Namaste. Stay
Namaste.
tuned for
Exactly.
our next session. Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. We are signing off. Thank you so much.